Joining us now on WION World is Ahmad Wali Massoud, the founder and president of the Massoud Foundation. Thank you so much for joining us on WION. My first question to you, what do you make of the current crisis and the situation on ground in Afghanistan?
Well, at this moment, there is a chaotic situation. There is no government. It's a very there are Taliban who are, many of their forces very unruly. People are panicking. People are running for their lives. Everybody wants to get out, to come out of the of Kabul, of different cities. A lot of people, they are in hidings in Kabul and in different cities as well. And at the same time, there is very confused situation. Who is in charge there? No one knows.
Now, your brother's son, Ahmad Massoud, is leading a resistance movement in Panjshir Valley. Do you support this resistance?
Well, the resistance is something that it has been in our family for decades now. So therefore, resistance is something against the fight. It's not a fighting. So if somebody fights on you, so do you have to resist it. So therefore, resistance is just the right and just right of the Afghan people. So yes, of course, the resistance is for good cause.
My next question for you, do you believe that the National Resistance Front has the resources to mount a pushback against the Taliban?
Well, let's see, because the resistance have already started it. So the Panjshir Valley is just in provinces or areas like Kapisa, Parwan, and Baghlan, and some other areas. They have just, but of course, the Panjshir is the core of the resistance there. So at the moment, it has already started it. And if there is no political deal reached or consensus or some sort of dialogue reached, then of course the resistance will take up momentum. It will not be coincided only limited to Panjshir, but across Afghanistan there will be resistance. Different ethnicity and different sector of life will join the resistance. As we already know that the women of Afghanistan are part of the resistance. The younger generation of Afghanistan, which makes 70% of the population, they are part of the resistance. They have civil society whose belief is very different from the Taliban belief. They are part of the resistance. So across Afghanistan, there will be resistance.
Moving on, the Taliban, of course, took power without even firing a bullet in Kabul. Its men have surrounded the Panjshir Valley. And now they have American weapons worth billions of dollars. So how will the resistance forces fight the well-equipped Taliban going forward?
Well, the resistance is the will of the people. Of course, the will of the people is far more stronger than anything which comes from outside. When the people really willing to fight for their own rights, for their own survival, for their own country, for their own spirit, then of course it's far more stronger than any other superpower in the whole world. So therefore, at the moment, the resistance have started it, and we hope that that will be solved. Soon we can reach some sort of dialogue or some sort of peace. But if it doesn't, of course, let me assure you that the resistance of Afghanistan will never die. Will never die. It will survive, it will live for as long as possible, it will live. Because that is coming from the very inner side of the people, from the spirit of the people, from thinking and belief of the people. So it will not be defeated. Of course, this situation, what happened for the past few months, that the government of Ashraf Ghani, which was a corrupt government which fell, it's a totally different story, but the resistance is coming from the people.
Now, back in Kabul, the Taliban is, of course, promising an inclusive government. What do you make of this?
No, at the moment they have not shown if they're different from the old Taliban. They have not shown. Just today, they have announced that the women of Afghanistan should all stay at home. Nobody should come to work until we have got a new rules. I don't know what sort of rules would they have. They have got a very restricted, limited so-called Sharia law. So based on that one, the woman cannot be allowed freely to come to work. So already they have changed their tone. They have promised, but from the promise to the practice is a big difference like that. So therefore, at the moment, we can trust them. Let's see what happens the days coming.
My next question, do you think India should support the resistant forces in Afghanistan?
Well, we have asked all the international community to help the Afghan people, because the Afghan people, they needed the moment the help and aid of the international community. They are living and they are struggling for their very basic survival. So therefore, this is a moral obligation on the whole world community to help the Afghan people. But when it comes to the resistance, if there is no deal reached with the Taliban to see if there is a comprehensive or inclusive government, then of course there is an obligation of all world community to help the resistance against tyranny, against the things that we are seeing in Afghanistan, something which cannot be acceptable.
My final question for you. What do you think the international community needs to do to support the resistance movement in Afghanistan as of now?
Right now, at this moment, what they need, they have to really kind of wait not to recognize at the moment the Taliban government until there is a comprehensive government which are inclusive, which can be accepted by all the ethnicity in Afghanistan. That's very, very basic. They should refrain from kind of compromising the whole values of the very basic values of the human. And they should not kind of recognize. This is at the beginning. And they should pressurize the Taliban, and they should pressurize all those who are with Taliban to really curb the violence, not to attack houses of the people, not to break their houses, not to go and attack areas, not to kind of do selective killing of some people, some politicians, not to do that one. This is the first thing that we are asking the international community to help the Afghan people for their basic rights. That's important.
Thank you so much, Mr. Massoud, for speaking to us here at WION World is One.
Thank you. Thank you.
WION World is One is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news updates on the move.